Closing out Memorial Day weekend, it's Jim Monaghan, Chris Swendeman, and the 2 Minute Drill podcast. Swendeman, this time Sunday night, I'm watching the Knicks game. They're getting blown out by the Pacers, and I'm figuring, well, you and I are going to probably do a post-mortem on the Knicks, even though they would only be down three, only I say, 3 games to none with a critical fourth game ahead. They're down by 18, I think, as I'm watching the game. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go watch the Mets for a couple of at-bats. I tune back in. They've got this thing under 10 points, and sure enough, they pulled this game out, and I have no idea how they did it.
They did, Jimmy. You know what? And it's just an amazing comeback by a team that completely fell apart at the end and had an epic meltdown at the end of game one. And to see them at the end of this game do the exact reverse to get themselves back into the series, this team just doesn't have quit in them. No matter how much they get knocked down, they come back. And that's what you want to see in your team. If you're a Knicks fan, you have to enjoy this team because they never seem to be out of it. Even when they have a bad game, or in this case, they had two bad games, they came back and they rallied and behind Karl Anthony Towns, who is, they've been looking for that big moment from him. And this was his game. This was his moment. And he put them on his shoulders. And man, they're back in it now. It's a series.
As I'm watching the TNT announcers, you've got Shaquille O'Neal talking about the Knicks being down 20, and he's saying you can't be throwing up 35-footers when you're trailing like this, and that's something you and I have been saying all along. And then after the game, big stirring Knick win. Charles Barkley, who knows more about he's forgotten more about basketball than I will ever know. He really went after the Knicks coaching staff, talking about the way that we're rotating players in. But I'm thinking, with all of the foul trouble that the Knicks had, did Thibodeau really have any other option but to work the bench the way he did?
No, he really didn't. And you know what? The one problem, and I'm not gonna kill Karl Anthony Towns too much because he really was the hero of the game, but he puts them in a hole nightly because by the middle of second quarter, he's usually got three fouls on the lower end. I mean, so when you're dealing with that, you automatically shorten the bench. I mean, Josh Hart played the entire fourth quarter. He didn't come out. I mean, it's unheard of. But what do you? I don't listen. I don't kill Barkley because, as a whole, that entire team I think is the best in sports. But you can't really kill the coach when he's kind of handcuffed to start. So, as you said, I don't know what much more Tibbs could have done, but the coaching staff has been questioned, and they've made some questionable moves in these first three games of the series. I will give Barkley that.
I still think the Pacers win this. I don't know if the Knicks will take game four. I do think the Pacers are going to win this five, maybe six. You made a reference to the TNT broadcast
Mhm.
crew, and that's something that you and I were talking about off air. As a general rule, I'm not a big fan of all of these talking heads. You see it a lot with the NFL. CBS does it,
Yeah,
Fox does it. I mean, it's like having a full team out there talking.
right.
The way Ernie Johnson choreographs everything, gives each one of the analysts room to talk, and melds his way in and out of that thing. I think it's, like you just said, one of the best crews in sport.
Yeah, I really enjoy them, and I hope next year, whatever happens with the NBA going to NBC, we'll see. But the NBA needs to find a way to keep this broadcast team together. They are the best in sports, in my mind. Maybe the only ones that I think come a close second is James Brown and the crew at CBS for the NFL. But other than that, Ernie Johnson is amazing. And you have big personalities on that desk that all seem to coexist. Kenny is a big personality, but Shaq and Barkley, I mean, those are two of the biggest personalities you're going to find. And they all find a way to coexist and give each other time without talking and yelling over each other like you see so much in sports talk. And I just think they're too good to not be a huge mainstay in the NBA world.
So we'll shift focus. I mentioned the Mets before. They come off of a series with the Yankees in which they lose two of the three games and then go out and promptly take the Los Angeles Dodgers two games out of three. And you're thinking, well, which Mets
Right.
team is it? I don't want to harp on Soto too much. I
Right.
still think he's going to turn it around. But the Mets are, what, a game and a half behind Philadelphia as we're
Yes.
recording this right now.
Yep.
And they're doing it without the big bats.
Right. And they're doing it amazingly, no pun intended, but they are doing it with pitching. And who would have thought when we started talking about the season, neither one of us would have said in our right minds the Mets are going to win with pitching, with the likes of Griffin Canning and Clay Holmes and all this piecemeal they put together. They're without Mania. They have almost amazing the job they're doing with their pitching staff with less is more basically for them. And it's just mind blowing. But, tip of the hat to the Mets pitching coaching staff for what they've gotten out of their starting five so far.
Turning to the Yankees, they lost a game to the Colorado Rockies a couple of nights ago, and you think, how in the name of heaven did
Right.
that ever happen? Because that's a bad Colorado team.
They're, they're a glorified AAA team. They're an embarrassment. I mean, they have 9 wins. I mean, come on, what are we doing? I saw that Friday night and I went, you scored 1 run against this team? Are you kidding? I mean, don't, and I get the Colorado air and all that. You can't make excuses. When you're the Yankees and you're in first place, you come to Colorado and play a team like that, you should be trouncing them. Saturday should have been the entire weekend when you're putting up 13, 14 runs because they are that bad. You took 2 out of 3. You should have taken 3 out of 3. And it seems to be that with the better teams so far, they're doing okay. But I think the real test is going to come this weekend when they go to LA and they play the Dodgers. I think that's where we're going to see what they're really made of. Are they going to have a little bitterness in them from the World Series and come back? Or are we going to see maybe they're not so good against the better teams? And I think this weekend is going to be very, very big for the Yankees.
You and I were talking off air, and I mentioned a little bit of a clickbait story that I had seen, a proposed trade between the Atlanta Braves and the New York Yankees, in which Yankees shortstop Anthony Volpe is sent to Atlanta. Again, I think it's clickbait. And I know a lot of Yankee fans are really high on George Lombard Jr., the kid at AA who's only 19. Can we pump the brakes a little bit? Like, I know
Right.
Volpe's struggling offensively, but the last thing you need to do, if I'm right, and the Yankees rushed Volpe, if I'm right, the last thing you want to do is rush a 19-year-old kid through the system.
Yeah, they're using the words already like seamlessly transition to AA. And there he's very impressive and all those hot take words that you want to hear and getting the fans riled up. And he's doing great in Somerset. But you know what? Leave him there for a while. Let him get his feet under him. Let him dominate. If he's going to dominate, then move him up to AAA. Leave him there for a while. Do not rush him. That's what they did with Volpe, like you were just saying, and you don't want to see them rush this kid. It just let him be and let him develop. 19 years old, he's still got a ways to go in my mind.
I know you're a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Hmm.
If you haven't seen the new one yet, my wife and I saw it over the weekend. It is phenomenal. It is a terrific movie. It needs to be seen on the big screen, IMAX preferably. But I was talking the other day. Tom Cruise and I are only a handful of years apart in age, and this guy is hanging off the side of airplanes doing his own stunts, and I have to massage my knees in the morning before I get out of bed. There's something wrong here, Swendeman.
They're really, yeah, there's something. Tom Cruise seems to be going backwards in age. Like he keeps getting younger when you look at him. I don't know what a magical fountain of youth he has found, but the rest of us need to get in on it. And I mean, the movies are amazing. I was a little like gun shy about this one until you told me you were really impressed by it. I really wasn't going to see it because I'm like, how many of these can they do? Him hanging off the side of buildings and planes and whatever else he's doing into his 60s. And, most guys in their 50s are like, yeah, right, you're not doing that. But I mean, if it's good, it's good, and they keep putting out a great product. So, you know what? I'm going to go check it out.
Thoroughly enjoyable. I really, really enjoyed it. And before we sign off, I do want to mention one more thing, and this is going back to sports media. Richard Neer, it was announced over the weekend, will not be doing a regular show anymore on WFAN, one of the two sports radio stations in New York City. And I just wanted to wish Richard the best of luck. He and I go all the way back to the late 70s. We played softball together on the WNEW-FM softball team. This is even before I joined the staff. He was hugely instrumental in my career in helping me get to that radio station, in helping me stay to that with that radio station, and just he's been one of my closest confidants over the years. When I had something that was going on and I needed to bounce it off of somebody, Richards was one of a very, very small group of people who I would reach out to. So I just wanted to take a brief moment here to wish him the best of luck. He's a phenomenal talent, whether it's sports or music, writing books. He does that as well. He's kind of a renaissance man, if you will, Chris.
Yeah, I'm he, as somebody who is a radio geek like you, and just loves listening to the different personalities. I grew up listening to Near, and he's just an icon, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next for him. Maybe, I heard him say, he's going to be doing a lot of different things in media now. So I'm really looking forward to what the future will bring for him in the different formats. Maybe a podcast, maybe he'll do more books, who knows? But he is just such a great talent. And man, it's definitely going to be a loss for radio.
So listen, if you like the 2 minute drill and what we do each week, tell a friend. If you don't
Yep.
like what we do, tell an enemy. Either way, tell somebody. Like, subscribe, download,
Yep.
do all of that good stuff.
All the
And
things.
and we will see you next week.
You got it, Jim. Have a great week.